Welcome. In this e-learning module, I shall demonstrate and make you understand how to assemble screws and dowels to the punch assembly using Catia V5. First, let's assemble the hexagon socket-headed cap screws to fasten the punch holder, punch back plate, and the top plate. Hide the stripper plate. Measure the distance between the counterbore surface on the punch holder and the top plate's bottom surface. The measured distance is 35 mm. Remember, we are using an M10 screw to fasten punch holder, punch back plate, and the top plate. Hence, we need a threaded engagement of a minimum of 1.5 times the thread size. Hence, we need to add 15 mm to 35 mm. We will need a screw length of 35 mm plus 15 mm, which is equal to 50 mm. Click on the catalog browser. Observe there are standard parts in the catalog browser. Double-click on screws. Double-click on hexagon socket-headed cap screw. Search and double-click on M10 screw with 50 mm length. Click on OK. Close the catalog browser. Observe hexagon socket-headed cap screw is inserted into the assembly. Use the manipulation command and drag the screw. Provide a coincidence constraint between the axis of the screw and the axis of the counterbore hole. Provide a contact constraint between the screw head's bottom surface and the step of the counterbore hole. Update the assembly. Observe the hexagon socket-headed cap screw is assembled in its position. Also, observe the top surface of the screw and the bottom surface of the punch holder is at the same level. It is always better we apply the screw below the punch holder surface. Right-click on the punch holder and open it in the new window. Double-click on the counterbore hole to redefine the parameters. Change the hole standard from metric cap screws to no standard. Increase the depth of the counterbore by 1 mm. Set the view to isometric and fit all in. Save the punch holder. Close the punch holder. Update the assembly. Now let's assemble the remaining screws to the punch assembly. Pick the hexagon socket-headed cap screw on the product structure. Pick the reuse pattern command. Pick the counterbore's user pattern. Observe, all the screws are assembled in the counterbores. Pick OK. Next, let's assemble the dowel pins to locate the punch holder, punch back plate, and the top plate. Pick the sectioning command. Pick volume cut on the result tab. Observe the dowel holes. Observe we have clearance holes on both sides of the top plate. This is not correct. We need to delete the relief hole, which is towards the punch back plate. Right-click on the top plate and open it in the new window. Delete the unnecessary relief hole and its user pattern. Set the view to isometric and fit all in. Swap the window to the punch assembly. Observe the length of the dowel hole is very long. Measure the distance between the top plate's bottom surface and the dowel relief hole's top edge. The measured distance is slightly more than 39 mm. As we are using a dia 10 mm dowel, we will need the dowel engagement of 1.5 times the dowel's dia. Hence the dowel hole depth of 15 mm is sufficient. Let's increase the depth of the dowel relief hole. Swap the window to the top plate. Double-click on the dowel relief hole to redefine the parameters. Increase the depth of the hole by 25 mm. Set the view to isometric and fit all in. Swap the window to the punch assembly. Measure the distance between the bottom surface of the top plate and the edge of the dowel hole. This is the length of the dowel engagement. The measured distance is slightly more than 14 mm. It would have been better if this was more than 15 mm. We will update it later. Measure the distance between the dowel hole's top edge and the bottom edge of the dowel hole. This is the length of the dowel pin we need. The measured distance is slightly more than 44 mm. Measure the distance between the bottom edge of the punch holder and the bottom edge of the dowel hole. This dimension is essential for the assembly of the dowel pin. The measured distance is slightly more than 15 mm. Delete the section. Click on the catalog browser. Double-click on pins. Double-click on parallel pins. Search and double-click on dia 10 mm dowel with 45 mm length. Click on OK. Close the catalog browser. The dowel pin is inserted into the assembly. Use the manipulation command and drag the dowel. Provide a coincidence constraint between the axis of the dowel and the axis of the dowel hole. Provide a distance constraint between the bottom surface of the dowel pin and the punch holder's bottom surface. Enter the offset value as 15 mm. Update the assembly. Observe the dowel pin is assembled in its position. Pick the sectioning command. Pick volume cut on the result tab. Observe the dowel pin is perfectly positioned in the dowel hole. Now let's assemble the remaining dowel pin to the punch assembly. Pick the dowel pin on the product structure. Pick the reuse pattern command. Pick the user pattern of the dowel hole. Observe, the remaining dowel pin is assembled in the dowel hole. Pick OK. Set the view to isometric and fit all in. Click on File, Save All, to save all modified documents in session. A warning message appears indicating a few files will be automatically saved. Click on OK. Observe the catalog parts that need to be saved. Pick the catalog parts and click on Save As. Make sure the file is getting saved in the project folder. Click Save. Repeat the same for all parts. Click on OK to save all modified and new catalog parts in the session. With this, we have successfully learned how to assemble screws and dowels to the punch assembly using Catia v5. That's all in this e-learning module. Thanks.